Moving on, Ekurhuleni officials say they're working with Rand Water to try and address water shortages in Tsakane, Daveyton and Kwa-Thema. Residents there have been without water for weeks now. Angry community members have taken to the streets to demand that the Metro resolves the water issue, saying they've cried the issues of their cries for help have fallen on deaf ears. At the same time, 3 hospitals in Gauteng, Rahima Musa Mother and Child Hospital, Helen Joseph and the Pulusong Hospital in Ekurhuleni have all been struggling with intermittent water supplies. For the latest now, let's cross live to our reporter Hasina Gori, who is joining us in studio. As we've, of course, been watching you throughout the day. At some point, I was fearing that you were going to be mobbed by the crowd because people were so upset, you know, Hasina, about what is going on there, even threatening to go and block the M17. Did that happen? What happened?
So what we saw during the day, as you mentioned, that these residents, both in Tsakane as well as Kwa-Thema, took to the streets very frustrated, saying that in Kwa-Thema it's only been 4 days without water. However, they have a long history of just lack of service delivery in that area, as well as in Tsakane, where it's been 5 weeks, where that one particular area has had no water. They've also had no answers from authorities, no implementations on what exactly is going on. As you know, we've heard from Ekurhuleni saying it's a Rand water issue. So there is no kind of answer to those communities when it comes to what is happening on the ground, how it affects them. They did say they were going to go into the M17. What we did see them do was go inside Kwa-Thema and go towards the reservoir, hoping to find people there. They'd gone to the municipality offices as well. Then they also threatened, you know, when people become really frustrated, they then threat to commit violence. And we heard threats live on air with one of the committee members saying the next step is now looting, which then gets them answers according to them, because then action seems to be taken. And these are what we saw in Kwa-Thema. In Tsakane as well, we saw authorities trying to come into the area and speak with them. Apparently they were chased away from that area, and clashes did happen between police and the communities. Rubber bullets were used both in the morning as well as later in the day. When I spoke to residents in Tsakane early in the morning, one resident said that he had been shot just quite on his forehead side, and he showed us his wound. Another one, when Kwa-Thema, said they were shot in the leg. We know there were some arrests made as well. So really frustrated community members. They say if it's not electricity, then it's water. Sometimes both as well, because they're saying the reason that they're being told that they don't have water is because the electricity supply affects then the output of Rand waters and affects the infrastructure as well.
And you think about the fact that this is yet another municipality that's complaining about water. In Tsakane, for example, national government had to come in because there was a spat between the municipality and Rand water. And now here we are again, and it's these residents, we've seen throughout the day, who are very frustrated with what is going on. And I wonder how authorities responding to this. Will they meet with them? What are they trying to do?
So far, there's been no really communication when it came to what is the way forward. There has not been any authorities on the ground giving them responses. There's been no teams that were meeting on the table. There was one community that we spoke to in the morning, quite early in Kwa-Thema, who actually told us that the protest had been postponed, that there had been a joint meeting between Santako, between some of the different political parties, and decided that the protest, due to the students writing exams, preliminary exams, that they will postpone it to another time. However, the protest did continue. And that's what we've seen now. Also a broken community saying that they haven't. It's been on deaf ears, and there is no tabling and dialogue happening at the moment to give them any sign of response. And you can imagine being without water for 5 weeks, the sanitation, the hygiene issues. The women, we had old ladies telling us that they feel completely, unhygienic, that they feel like they cannot even be functioning humans. Yet students, they couldn't go into schools because that becomes a hygienic issue as well. So these all become burdens on society as a whole. And as you mentioned, sometimes the poorest of the poor, the most vulnerable as well, affected yet again by infrastructure issues, and issues that really then add on to the burden of life as it is.
And I wonder what's the way forward now for them.
The residents say that they're going to continue taking to the streets, protesting, because sometimes they feel this is the only action that they have left. They've said that Ekurhuleni Metro has not come to the table to bring any kind of responses. Their councillors have not come to the table and spoken to them, and when it does come, it comes at this point where they then feel it's just done as a publicity, or because the media has then come and they feel that it doesn't really bring any answers.
And, we'll continue to monitor this one, because listening to what they've had to say, it's a serious sense of frustration, and one can expect that they probably might even intensify their protest action. And that is Hasina Gori, who's been watching developments there.